All right. So we're going to start talking about the viewing order of Miraculous Ladybug. Woohoo! Next slide. I beg of you. Oh, there we go. I guess I'll stand over here. So what is Miraculous Ladybug? So it's also known as the Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. So it's a French, Italian, Japanese, South Korean computer animation superhero television series. So this is the synopsis: that in modern day Paris, Marinette Dupain-Cheng and Adrian Agreste transform into superheroes when evil arises. Marinette and Adrian transform into their superhero personas, Ladybug and Cat Noir, using magical jewels known as the Miraculous. So that's them. So I started watching Miraculous when season 1 first came out, so pretty early on. I started watching with an episode called Dark Cupid. So that's that one. That's what started my fandom shipper heart. So I've been a pretty casual fan ever since then. The thing is that Miraculous Ladybug has been airing on a variety of different platforms ever since it came to the US. So there's been Nickelodeon, which moved to Disney, which moved to Netflix, and recently Disney bought it back, so it's going to Disney Plus soon. So it'll be leaving Disney Netflix and going to Disney Plus within the next few months or so. So that's why there's a lot of funky stuff happening with the order. So the problems with the Netflix order is that it has all of season 1, but then it puts season 2 in part 1, part 2 for some reason, and season 3 in part 1 and part 2 again for some reason. It's because they didn't have all the episodes when they had it, and instead of putting them onto season 2, they decided to do parts, and then they just never fixed it. So this leads to people seeing 5 seasons instead of 3. So people are like, there are 5 seasons of Miraculous Ladybug out, and it's like, no, there's not. Netflix just put it out weird. So the episodes are out of order like crazy. And there's a lot of glaring mistakes on Netflix. The first biggest one is that there's the Queen's Battle, part 1, and then there's Troublemaker in the middle, and then there's part 2, which this doesn't make sense because these follow right after each other. So Netflix has like a random episode breaking up 2 episodes that happen right after each other, which makes no sense. And the next one's this episode in season 3. It's the one that really gets my goat. This episode has a lot of superheroes teaming up, and you see 5 superheroes, but you see these 2 superheroes who you haven't met yet. If you haven't seen season 3, I won't spoil it for you. But there's 2 heroes who you're like, who are they? And then their debut episodes is 5 to 6 episodes later. And this is like, why you do this, Netflix? All right, so then it's like, what's the real order of Miraculous Ladybug if Netflix messed it up? And the problem is that it's never really been that simple with Miraculous Ladybug. So there have been episodes out of order everywhere, including its origin country in France. So, and episodes in other countries are aired according to what they think is best. So they give all the episodes to a country like, here, you should air these. And then they're just like, okay, and they do what they want. So it wasn't until season 3 that most countries started airing similar orders. But even then, like different countries do different things. Like 5 of one country will do an order, and then like 6 of another country will do an order, but they're still separate a little bit. All right, so then people talk about the production order. So that's like, oh, how it's made. That's how you view it. So wouldn't that be right? No, it's not. It works for season 3, admittedly enough, but for season 1 and season 2, the way it's produced is not the way it should be watched. And I have some examples of that. So the production order has Stormy Weather, Evil Illustrator, Lady Wi-Fi. And if you've seen Eve Illustrator, there's a problem with this. And I have a video. Let's see if this will play.
First of all, Eve Illustrator as the second episode, there's a big problem with this. In the first 10 seconds of the episode, it has stormy weather and Lady Wi-Fi. But this episode is before Lady Wi-Fi? I don't think so.
So that's the big problem with that episode. It has this character in this episode. So, but that can't be right because she's introduced in this episode. So that's why the production order doesn't work. For season 1, for season 2, there's some problems with the production order as well. So this is Frightingale 209 and then Captain Hardrock 216. And the problem with that is our main man, Luca. Luca is seen dancing with Marinette and Adrian in Frightingale, specifically them two. But then he's introduced in Captain Hardrock, 7 episodes later. So it's just like, well, why was he with them in that episode if he's seen in this episode? So that's a problem. Another problem is Mark and Nathaniel, love them. They become really good friends in Reverser. That's when they get connected. But you see them hanging out in Frozer. And it's just like, well, that doesn't make sense. They shouldn't like each other or know each other in this episode. This episode's before that episode. So that's why the production order is messed up. So we can't trust that one. The French order. So they're like, well, we should look at how it was aired in the original country. That'll make it good. They made it. They know what they're doing. And the French order is also on Wikipedia, which make people also think, oh, that's more legit. No. The problem with the episodes is that they come out aired out of order multiple times. So the French are like, we meant to air this time, but it aired this way. So if you look at how the French aired it, it's messed up. So season 1, we have Guitar Villain following Pixelator. And it even says on the Wikipedia, this episode was aired out of chronological order with Guitar Villain. So the French, sometimes their television, they air things out of order, so you can't trust them sometimes. And with their problem with season 2, they have Glaciator earlier, which introduces an ice cream man. Hello, we're talking about Miraculous Ladybug.
Cool.
And then these episodes, The Queen's Battle and Maledictator. So there's things up with that, because in season 2, the French order has them all at the end, but there are episodes that reference Queen Bee within it, so they can't all be at the end. Season 3 has Backorder and Baker X way earlier than needed to, because Baker X introduces a train in it, but then Backorder has the train in there, so it's like, well, that's not right. And then Chrismaster, they have it all the way at the end of the season, and that can't be right, because he's introduced in the middle of the season in another episode. So the French order's got things messed up too. And so I did a lot of research on this. I'm very opinionated, if you can't tell. So I thought I'd look into the order and learn like the opinions of others. I went onto Reddit and Quora and other places. And I had no idea it'd be so complicated. The first season being the most complicated, but the other seasons are pretty complicated too. And so as an English major, I just felt it was my duty and responsibility to look at all the opinions and use my research logic to figure out what order made sense and what order didn't. And I did not know how much information was out there. So let me just show you some of my research that I did. So this is all the countries' orders. So each country has a different order and episode list. So I went through all of these for all 3 seasons to see, like, is any country, like, is it the same as other countries? What order do they have it in? So let me tell you, every country has a different way of showing this show. Some use Disney Channel, but even the Disney channels vary from time to time. Some have like way orders. I'm like, why did they air it that way? Why did they have it that way? That makes no sense. So I looked at all the countries, and then I got all the lists. So this is from season 1. I'm just like, the production order, the Wikipedia order, the Disney International order, the Belgium order, and I looked at all the lists to compare, like, what is there a pattern to how these episodes are and what the order might be. And this is from some Reddit. So some people have opinions like stormy weather should be first, Mr. Pigeon should be first, the bubbler should be first. So I looked at all their opinions there. And then I went through the episodes and I made points. I'm just like, all right, Reflecta does this, Pixelator does this, Guitar Dome does this. So I watched all the episodes more than once to make sure that there was an order that made sense to what was going on there. So that's what I did. This is for season 3, so I've gotten a little more creative when I went by. I went through and I highlighted in red all the problems that were in it. Canada's kind of hidden there, but Canada's like the worst in this list because it has like Gamer 2.0, Party Crash, and Reflecta, and it has like a bunch of stuff. I'm just like, I don't know what Canada's doing with season 3, but they're not doing it right. So I went through and I marked what wasn't working. All right, so I'm sure y'all were like, well, what's your order then? And this is it. I made an order for season 1, season 2, season 3. After all that research, I compiled it, and I'm just like, okay, this is the order that's gonna make the most sense to me. So I put the origins at the end for season 1, and a lot of people are kind of angry with me about that. But it makes sense because it's kind of a flashback for season 1, and it introduces a lot of ideas for season 2. Season 2 has Santa Claus at the end, another Christmas special. I kind of combined a few orders for season 2 and just switched some things around. Season 3 is the production order, so that actually works. I recently just finished season 3, and I'm like, oh wow, the production order actually works for season 3. Who knew? And I have a link for all these orders, so I'll just move this a touch this way. So it's beacons.ai/Ladybug watch order. So I have season 1, and I also have like a whole 7-page list of why I have the order for season 1. So I didn't just be like, this is my order for season 1, deal with it. I'm like, okay, this is the reason this episode is here. This is the reason this episode is here. Did that same for season 2. It's like, here's the list, and here's the reasons. Season 3, it says under final review. I literally just changed that yesterday. I have season 3 order on the last page, and I'm working on my reasons at the moment for season 3. I'm not just gonna throw it up and say, it's the production order, deal with it. So that's it. So that's the history behind the whole order of Miraculous. And honestly, I guess I talked really fast because I thought I would have 5 more minutes here. But I'm gonna open it up to y'all if you have any questions about like my research or the order or anything else towards Miraculous Ladybug.
How many times did you watch this series?
So I started in 2016 as when I first started watching it. And I've watched it over quite a few times. In the recent months, since December, I watched season 1 3 times. I watched season 2, I think twice. And so far, I've only watched season 3 once. Well, I watched other episodes. Like certain episodes of season 3, I've seen 3 times. Like I watched Stormy Weather a few times. Stormy Weather 2 a few times. I've seen Cat Blanc a few times. So in the recent months, I've seen a lot. But then before, I like had rewatched it, I think 2 or 3 times. So, yes.
Sorry I came in so late, but
It's okay.
why do you like this show so much?
So it's all good. So I just randomly like found an episode, Dark Cupid. That was my first episode I watched, and I really liked the dynamic between Cat Noir and Ladybug. I thought they were really interesting. And the more I watched the show, I really like the aspect of so Marinette, she's the lead character, and when she becomes Ladybug, she becomes like the best version of herself. And I think that that's really like cool because you see like her being shy and timid, and then when she's Ladybug, she becomes the best version of herself. And that's an aspect I really like of like trying to like find like confidence in like who you really are. I find all the storylines really good. I feel like they handle their their characters really interestingly. My favorite character is Alia. I really love her character, and I love how she's passionate and she's kind, and how she like enables her friends to like be powerful. And I feel like there's a lot of depth to like Chloe. I really like Chloe's character, even though she's like a mean girl, you see like a lot of her depth. So I just like really like looking at the characters and their depth. So that's for me. So my favorite villain's Lady Wi-Fi. I love Lady Wi-Fi. Anytime Lady Wi-Fi shows up, I'm like, give her to me. So.
Is it a U.S. production team that creates and produces this?
So the show is created in, so it's, the creator's French. So it's made in France first, and then it goes to, they send it to other countries. And so like there's an English, what's his name? So his name's Ezra. I've talked to him a few times on TikTok. There's like a voice department. He's a voice director, yeah. And so they have different, every country has like different voice departments. So they give it to the US and the US dubs it. It's kind of like anime. They're just like, this is the original, you can dub it and you can like change the lines and do what you want. But the animation and stuff is written in France, I think, done in South Korea, the animation, and then goes back to France, and France is where it airs first for the most part. Well, there's no other questions. Y'all can leave.
Go watch the show.
Yeah,
I've heard about it.
it's pretty good. We just finished. Do you have any questions about Miraculous Ladybug?